Tonight we have a special guest with us, David Childers, a local musician. We wanted to focus on what we talk about around the fire pit or here in the tavern, and occasionally those conversations lead to music. And David, he is on our rotation in our Sonos or on the Spotify app, and we just thought we're friendly with David and it would be a good idea to talk to a music legend. We'll get into his pedigree here in a second. But I did want to mention that David and his band, The Serpents, is the only two-time performing band at the Stag's Head Tavern. Every year we have an annual St. Patrick's Day party, and we try to have live music when we can. We had some DJs in the past, but David and the Serpents, David Childers and the Serpents performed here in 2019, which was actually before your time.
Before my time.
You know, your house wasn't even built yet.
Yeah. Somewhere else.
Okay.
And then this past year, actually, we mentioned this earlier, I had David and the Serpents booked for 2020. And St. Patrick's Day falls in the middle of March. And I forget the actual date, but that week is when the entire world shut down.
Yeah.
And we had to cancel that show. And I think we actually canceled 2 back-to-back parties in 2020 and 2021. 2022, we picked up again. And he also performed here this past March with the band, and I always have a great time, always enjoy it. But, you know, we wanted to talk to him. This past weekend, I went to a show. David and the Serpents were performing over in McAdenville and got to see an outdoor show. I know you've been pretty active on Facebook promoting your gigs coming up. I think I might have introduced Dave to you and the Serpents. And you know, we've seen you over at the Whitewater Center. And like I said, we've played you on our sound system here, listened to you, and discussed your music. The other day I was relating to Dave about my like of your music. And then back in, I forget what year it was, but I know it was a Christmas show. And I guess this leads to your talent. And we'll get to your last year. But I had been listening to your music on probably Spotify or something like that. I bought a couple CDs, I got some of your vinyl, and it didn't hit me until I saw you at a Christmas show. Your real true talent. So I was telling David, it was a Friday night, it was December 21st because it was my birthday, and you were doing one of those solo song swaps down at Catawba Coffee.
Oh, okay.
And I think Douglas Thompson was there, and there was 1 or 2 other artists. And I was telling Dave that at this event, we just went down. We didn't have any plans for a birthday. And Vicky knew that I wanted to see you. So we just went down. And of course, it's 4 days before Christmas. And you guys are all singing Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
They sing a Christmas Carol at the song swap. And then up comes David Childers. And I don't remember the whole story, but you're like, yeah, back in Greensboro, I wrote this Christmas Carol. Like all the Christmas carols you sang were songs that you wrote, versus the other guys were singing the Christmas carols that I think we all know and love and sing in church or sing when we're out caroling or with friends.
Little drummer boy.
Hey, little drummer boy. But it just hit me. Holy cow. Here's a guy who I enjoy going to see, but maybe I didn't respect your talent so much. And you're writing these Christmas carols. Like it just
Now do you understand?
it just blew me away that so I alluded to his induction last year. David was inducted to the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. And I think I read the bio a couple times or the write-up, but it lists you as a songwriter. And I think like all these things are kind of clicking to me now. When I listen to music, sometimes the music we listen to, it's just about the tempo or the beat. It's just the rhythm. You kind of get into it. But a lot of songs I like tell story. And a lot of your songs kind of tell stories. I like Bruce Springsteen, I like John Mellencamp. A lot of those artists, some of those songs tell stories and some is just a melody. But listen to David and his accolades revolve around his songwriting. Yeah. I guess we can get into the question phase, but I guess I was curious about your songwriting style and your process. And a couple years ago, of course I like podcasts. I listen to podcasts, and I don't know if you're familiar with Malcolm Gladwell, but he's a media type. But he has a podcast, and I think it's called Revisionist History, but he was talking about songwriting. And he alluded, and I know you sing some Bob Dylan songs occasionally, covers at your concerts, and he was talking about how this song that Dylan wrote, 15 minutes. He wrote the words down, he wrote the music, 15 minutes, boom, and it's a classic. And in this podcast, Malcolm's talking about Leonard Cohen and the song Hallelujah, and how it took him 6 months to write that, and he filled up an entire yellow legal pad of lines and verses. And it just, to me, those are wildly different styles of writing songs, and whether you have a muse or it comes to you in a sleep or what. But I guess I wanted to ask or get into David Childers' style of songwriting. And is it that quick kind where the music and the song and the words just flow, or is it develop over time? And in your band, one of the band members is Robert, your son. Is all that music, is it David Childers music? Is it Serpent music? Do you have a song?
It's a collaboration.
Is it a songwriting partner, or how does that work for you?
Songwriting, you asked me how, it's all of the above. You know, sometimes it's collaborative. I've written a few songs this year, which I'm happy about. But in fact, I spent earlier part of the day before I fell asleep a while ago and forgot to come up here on time, but I was working on a couple different songs today. Actually 3 different ones, but nothing has hit yet, but I'm getting there. It's kind of like growing a garden. But probably some of my songs that people know better, I'm assuming that people do, is like Prettiest Thing. That took a long time to write. It's very simple, but one kept taking stabs at it. It was inspired initially by a poem by the Chilean poet Pablo Neruda called The Mermaid and the Drunks. But I never could quite get it. And then, I don't even know when I wrote that. It was in the 90s. One day it just boom, it happened. Same Run, Skeleton Run. I also paint. I like doing it, but it also supplements my Social Security. And you've bought some of my stuff, thank you very much. But I was painting this big board with a skeleton on it, and it just all of a sudden I thought, I'm gonna put Run, Skeleton, Run on there. Yeah. And it's real crude, very folk art, but mainly just an untalented guy that can't control his energy doing this. And I said, damn, that'd make a good song. I ran down to my place where I used to write in this room, and of course I write in a room now, but it's a different one. And, you know, within 15 minutes, boom, and I'm just laughing my ass off because it was just funny. The song's funny to me, and it didn't take long for that to work in. There's a few more, but I have to leave myself open. Now I came down with the cancer back in late August of 2024. Yeah. And I've gone through surgeries and chemotherapy, and that sort of put a kink in my songwriting. But even while I was in the hospital, I had a notebook and I was scribbling stuff down, and some of that's turned into songs. Once I got out, I wound up going into a nursing home for about a month after a chemo overdose, and that was a very strange, depressing experience. But I had been to a military school as a young, my last 2 years of high school, and so it reminded me of that, because I was school was like being in a prison. Although I enjoyed it, learned to do the manual arms and shoot a M1 rifle and that kind of stuff. But I had my own room at this nursing home, and I just got my wife Linda to bring me my painting stuff, and I started cranking out painting and writing. I could, of course, sleeping and going to PT, which was my favorite thing there, because I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair for a month or so, and they taught me how to walk again. And then when I got out, gradually I just started writing poetry, and it was a weird time, but the songs, the words kept coming to me. And I always keep some, I've always kept these notebooks, and I might wake up in the middle of the night. I've learned, grab it. If you got those words coming, turn the light on, put your glasses on, and write down the words, and go back to sleep. And of course, that whole period was like Twilight Zone But I think some stuff came out of that. But I just have to leave myself open. I don't think I'm as prolific as I once was, but I have written a few new ones in the last few months, which we're playing. One of them about a guy getting caught up on the second floor with a woman with her husband coming to the door, beating on the door. Not an autobiographical. There's not,
So it's more of a story. Do you focus on stories?
I focus on the words more, so like the language has to be important. And, if a story's there, and there generally is, it generally does work that way. I think that's just my style. But, you've named like Dylan, huge influence, Springsteen, of course. But, I go back into, my mom had a lot of folk music records and books of lyrics and that. So in my house, I grew up learning. I'd get these books and I'd learn a Edgar Allan Poe poem, or she'd read Hiawatha and those kind of long poems. She could also recite a lot of old poems and old songs from like the 20s and 30s. And so I was blessed to have a mother that, although she and I didn't get along, but she certainly inspired me. Right. And she exposed me to a way of passing the time of day. I was a kid, I was out playing football and fighting and running all over the place, but I preferred being by myself, where I didn't have to fight people or prove something to anybody. I liked solitude.
Did the poetry actually bring you back into songwriting? Or
I started.
Was it symbiotic?
It's very symbiotic, because the idea that I'm out now getting paid to play music for people just blows my mind sometimes, because as a young guy growing up hearing music, there was a lot of music in our house from my mother. There was also this lady that worked in the house, a black lady named Lillian Ross, who had the radio going. This was in the 50s, and she had it on the African American station, WGIV, and it was just pumping out great music. And I'm a little kid sitting on the floor listening to the music, playing with my toy soldiers, but I was just soaking all this up. James Brown, Chuck Berry, Ray Charles, Brooke Benton, Etta James. It was just, she was playing, they would play Elvis and Buddy Holly. It wasn't strictly African American. And then my mom's listening to the hit Hank Williams and Elvis and a lot of musicals. And
Any Guthrie?
yeah, I got into that later. In fact, she gave me a Woody Guthrie album when I was about, and my grandfather, her dad, besides being a drunk and a wild man, he was a failed cotton broker, mainly because of his alcoholism, but he wound up as a radio announcer. And he was up in Virginia and up in the mountains, and he would go out and be the MC in these shows. Well, people like Hank Williams played, and Dave Mason, as I understand it, Uncle Dave Mason, and all these old pickers and traditional kind of player. And I had some of his acetates. I guess that's what they were, his giant records with his radio shows on. I'd listen to that, and of course, my friends would make fun of it, but to me, you'd see that kind of stuff on TV around here. We had Arthur Smith, who had Tommy Fail, who's a great singer. He wrote Phantom 309. I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yeah.
But Tommy is from Charlotte, always stayed here. But I'd wake up in the morning, those guys be on there telling jokes and singing songs. You could tell they were liquored up in themselves, but they at 8 in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
That was earlier than that. But music was just all over, and all over the neighborhood. People listened to records. And everybody had radio, and there were some people, we all were horn players back then. I wasn't very good, but I had a trombone, and I learned a little music.
Yeah.
I was in the band up here at school till I started playing football, and then you couldn't do both. And I enjoyed football more than the band.
Yeah.
But it's a mixed thing. Writing is, I just leave myself open to it, but I also paint a lot now. I enjoy it, like I say, I enjoy it, but it also helps pay the bills.
Yeah.
Plus, I You know, I'm not good at just sitting around. I will sit during the day, but I can't even watch a movie all the way through anymore.
Yeah, it's too
I'm
much.
probably going on too long, but there's no simple answer to any of it.
Yeah, okay.
That's a really good base. It sounds like that's what was influencing you. Those early songs and radio, and
Yeah.
when just sitting there while you're playing Army Man.
Yeah.
Just listening to the
Yeah,
radio.
it was absorb it, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about it. Like now you're talking about, you put different stuff on. Some of it's for the stories, the words. Sometimes just the rhythms. And I've gotten into listening to jazz a lot in the last several years. There's something about that that's very soothing to me. But then I like to listen to the old country stuff and old rock and roll, and some of my friends who've had a lot more success than I have at it.
Is there one particular artist that if you're having a bad day or not feeling well, is there somebody that you always go to that that always
Not always.
makes you smile or anything?
Yeah,
Like that?
not always.
You probably have a bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty open to, but Bob Dylan's at the top of the list. I remember hearing him. My brother came up from Columbia, South Carolina. He was in college. He was older than I was. I was about 14. He brought Bob Dylan, bringing it all back home. And I'll never forget one Friday night, he said, I want you to listen to this. Because he had a huge influence on him. Still does. He's still alive. But, and that came on, and it was Bob Dylan doing Mr. Tambourine Man, which he wrote. But see, I knew it from the Birds on the radio, and I loved the song, but I'm like, golly.
Yeah,
It just gave me a whole different perspective. This guy wrote, this band is now doing it. Here he is, sounded like him and maybe one other guitar and a harmonica. And these words, which were just blowing my mind. Because I was trying to be a poet, because I didn't know how to play anything. My dad did give me a banjo. I believe right before that Christmas, he gave me a banjo. And I had learned to play a little bit on it and sing Donovan songs or some Pretty Boy Floyd, which I heard from Woody Guthrie.
Yeah.
Joan Baez, she was a big.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of women sing. Judy Collins, Joan Baez. See, Judy Collins in particular, her songs, they were written by other people. She's an interpreter, but there were stories in there like you're talking about. Johnny Cash, their stories are very emotional. But Tom Waits, and I picked up on him later when I was a grown man, so to speak. Again, my brother introduced me to him, and his lyrics are very different. They're more like beatnik poetry.
Yeah.
Kind of. And then I got into writers like Kerouac and Ginsberg, but going into college, I had put the banjo down, and I got in college, and I was an insane drunk. I don't know how I got through my first year, but I had a jock mentality. I was playing rugby, and I had something to prove, which I really didn't, but being a young 18-year-old guy, very insecure about things.
Yeah, that's all testosterone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I needed a woman. I got one toward the end of that year, and that settled me down a little bit, but she was not the right one, and we broke up, and I was heartbroken. And somewhere in there, a guy had loaned me a guitar, and I was like, God damn, I'm gonna learn some of these. I'm gonna learn how to do this.
Yeah.
It's got to be like a banjo. So I was in my dorm room, Hinton James dorm at Chapel Hill, and it was in May, maybe late April. Man, I started learning some chords, and then I always liked to sing. I'd sing in the shower a lot and drive everybody crazy. But I needed some out, but that's where the guitar playing started. By that summer, I was going out playing with some other guys that knew more about it. Always open to learning how to do it. I remember that summer, I got a Bob Dylan songbook. It was Blonde on Blonde, and it had the chords to the songs. And I learned a bunch of different chords, and it just opened me up to this whole thing. And from that point on, it was nonstop.
So you're self-taught.
Yeah.
And just kind of learned as you go. And
Yeah, I learned as I went.
And listen.
Learning from playing with other people and watch. Hell, I still do that. I'm getting ready to do some shows with Jason Ringenberg, who he had a band called Jason and the Scorchers, and he toured with Bob Dylan and stuff, and we ran into him, but anyway, I'm having to learn his songs. I'm going on YouTube and watching what they do there and playing along and doing like with the Mavericks. I've been learning some of their stuff. Or a lot like Lightning Hopkins, a lot of old blues guys. Just sitting down and learning what I can learn from watching them. I don't know how to read music, but I somehow could sing in a choir and kind of figure out this and that.
So you just kind of, you hear it, and
Yeah.
then you can sing it, and then you just work through that whole process.
Yeah, that's right. It takes some work. Some of it's easy, some of it's not. If it gets too hard, I walk away. You know? Come back later.
Come back later.
Yeah, maybe
When your mind's clear, come back later.
it's never clear, but I might have the stamina though.
Okay.
So I've noticed in some of your cover art and song titles, there seems to be some kind of a religious overtones.
Sure.
And where does that come from? You haven't mentioned that as being like
I
a,
just grew up with God being a presence in my life. My dad, not so much my mother. My dad was a Methodist, and he always had us going to Sunday school. Then they put my brother and me in Catholic school over in Belmont. But they gave us a choice. You want to go to public school, or you want to go to Catholic school over here with the nuns. And quite frankly, the public school, I remember somebody telling me, like, you'll get beat up there at the public school. And I'm like, I don't want to go there. So I went to the Catholic school, and I had to fight as much there as anywhere. And the nuns, of course, they wouldn't hesitate to beat your ass. But then I went and left there. But anyway, I got a lot of Catholicism. Even though I was a Protestant, they gave us religious classes. And I basically learned just basic religion. And frankly, even though I don't go to church anymore, I pray a lot, and God's very important in my life. I pray to the Virgin Mary, which is not a Catholic, a Methodist thing. But I went from there, Methodist to Presbyterian. Never was a Catholic, but I certainly was sympathetic. Plus, going to Catholic school back in the 50s, there was all bad talking going on about Catholics. You know, they don't worship God, they worship Mary.
yeah,
And which is not true, and I knew better than that.
sure.
But I would go pray to statues they'd give us an hour every day, and I'd get something to eat at this old cafeteria, and then I'd go down to the chapel and kneel in front of it. I can't remember even if it was Jesus or a saint.
Yeah,
It was probably a saint, because you have to have an intermediary.
yeah.
But and it was real to me, and it's still real to me.
Okay.
And like when I found out I had cancer, I was in the downtown here in Mount Holly at the emergency room, and this doctor comes in after a CAT scan. You got stage 4 colon cancer spread to your liver and your lungs, and basically you're done for. And immediately I just said, God, in my mind, I'm turning this over to you. And he's never let me down. He or she or whatever. I'm still trying to figure that out, although I don't think I can. But so yeah, that's why. And I felt people reacted weird to it. They still do. But going back to my influences, Bob Dylan, man, his stuff's some of the most spiritual music. A lot of it's just references to the Bible.
Yeah.
And you remember when he became a Christian. He's a Jew initially, and he became a Christian for a good while and did a good job of preaching it. And with his music, the music was great. But people were like, oh, I don't like that. I want the old Bob Dylan back. But that's what he was, and that inspired me. If you're trying to be like everybody else or do stuff to please specific people, you're not being true to yourself.
Sure.
And so that's what I learned kind of early on is don't try to imitate, be inspired, be influenced. And if you happen to echo the things you admire or the things you influence, that's all right, but don't try to be the next this or that. And that's why I tell these younger artists, find your own voice. And I learned that in college. I was in creative writing pretty heavy, and I had this teacher, Carolyn Kaiser, told me, find your own voice. Don't try to be James Dickey.
Yeah.
See, back then I could play a guitar and I was going out playing gigs, but really I thought my thing is to be a poet. But what, you know, and I was getting a lot of things published in these little magazines, some of them pretty well known, but hell, there wasn't any money in it.
I don't think there ever is.
I might have made a few $100s overall, but then if I can go out here and play guitar for 3 hours back in the early 70s and make $50 and a 6-pack of Pearl beer, that's pretty good back then.
Yeah.
So it just morphed into doing more and more music and putting my lyrics in, or my poetry into the lyrics.
Well, yeah, that's one way to get it out, for sure.
Are there any of the newer artists that you really listen to now, or is there any? Because there's so much. I have trouble because there's so much garbage.
Noise, yeah.
Noise is the right word.
Yeah.
But there's so much that I don't even listen to the radio anymore.
I don't either, man.
I can't.
But I have some of the younger, of course, there are some of my favorites like Jason Ringenberg and
Yeah.
guys, but there's a lot of these younger guys and girls, young women, like Jade Moore, Jade Drum. I think she's an incredibly talented young lady from around here, and Cody Gentry, a young guy from down in South Carolina, and Dylan Walsh, who's just got his American citizenship. He's Irish, and he and I've gotten to be good friends, but he's a really great writer and singer. And I will listen to those guys, but mostly I listen to it on the radio or I'll find stuff there, and I've got that going a lot of times.
So I did want to ask you, how do you feel about your influence on the Avett Brothers?
I have no idea what that was. My relationship with them is a big surprise to me. I actually was introduced to them through Robert Childers, who, when they started playing early on, he was just a huge fan. And he was telling me about them, and I think at one point he thought he was going to be their drummer, but it didn't work out. But we did some shows with them.
Yeah.
They actually opened for us. It didn't last very long. And then they got big real fast. I mean, it was like standing there watching a rocket ship take off. And I'd never been around anybody that did that.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to me, but I was happy for them.
Sure.
Because they were nice guys. They were real clean living guys, like the bands I was in, including myself. And the next thing I know, they're like, we can't do any more shows with you because we're big time and we got to move on. And they were playing all over. And I accepted that. And in fact, their manager, Dolph, was managing me before they came along.
Yeah.
And he wasn't getting much accomplished with me. It wasn't his fault. It's just he didn't have much to work with. And I finally said, look, man, you just need to focus on them. We'll take care of ourselves. And we went our way and they went theirs, and I lost track of it. Then one day my daughter comes up to me. This is about 2011, and I did stay close to Bob Crawford, the bass player.
Yeah.
Who's been a great friend. Has actually produced a couple records of mine. Has put his money in there, as has Dolph Ramsor. And I ran into my daughter at the farmer's market. She said, Daddy, did you see the Avett Brothers did a video of a Prettiest Thing? I'm like, what? And sure enough, I saw this video of them doing it. And I'm like, man, God, are they going to record it? Is this finally my ship's coming in? They never did record it. But what they did is they made it possible to sell more downloads of our version
Yeah.
I had done. So it's worked out nice.
I've definitely seen they pop up on the internet and on YouTube. Seems like they use a couple of your songs, Don't Be Scared,
Yeah, they did
Prettiest
that.
Thing, as their encore at the end of some of their concerts. I've seen that.
Yeah, they were playing it a lot at one time. Now I don't think they're playing them anymore. They've been doing some new stuff, and hey, they should be.
Sure, yeah.
I had
You
my
rotate
time, and I'm grateful for that. And I hope some other people will do that. It's an ironic thing, like I get praised for being a songwriter, and I do keep trying to write, but I've never had anybody really make a recording of any of my stuff that made any difference financially. Now, as far as my own gratitude to the people that have done that, it's immense.
Yeah, sure.
But this whole thing with the Hall of Fame, North Carolina Music Hall of Fame, it just shocked me when I was told I was getting inducted. Because I could think of 5 or 6 other people that deserved it more than I did. But I'm like, well, I'll take it. It's an honor.
Yeah.
And there are some people that really appreciate what I've done over the past 40 years. I didn't really get serious about it until probably 1989 or 90, when I was in my late 30s. And I was a practicing attorney, or I was an active attorney. I was practicing like I'm practicing for the big one that's coming. So it was a difficult road. I've made life hard on myself.
But does that come as validation to your choices, to be inducted to the Hall of Fame, to have a national act sing some of your songs?
That's oh God, yeah. I remember listening when I was at home on a Friday night. I think I was watching a football game, and somebody sent a video of David's doing Don't Be Scared. First time I ever did it. Man, I was moved to tears because I'm like, that's just beautiful that these guys are doing this for thousands of people all over the world.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Scotland that had done one of my songs like that. Jackie Levin, God rest his soul. He's going on ahead. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing feeling.
Sure, okay.
But I can't dwell on it. I don't rest on my laurels.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, you seem to be very active in promoting on Facebook and listing your shows, and I just,
Well, the thing about Facebook is, I make no secret of it, I don't have any fondness for the people that own and run that. Mark Zuckerberg, I think they're a bunch of cowards, but Facebook it's the only way I got to promote myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the money to spend on that. And the record label I'm on, they spent enough. They never got much back from it. Although they're still very supportive of me when I need them. They do a lot for me. But so Facebook's free. It can be free.
Yeah.
So there it is. So I use it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
I don't even make posters anymore. I used to do that, mail them out. But hell, postage has gone up. Everything's gotten so expensive that I just have to worry about groceries and paying our mortgage. And fortunately, I still got Medicare and supplemental insurance and all that. But yeah, that's where I'll do it.
Yeah, okay.
Are there any specific venues now that you were inducted into the North Carolina Hall of Fame that are looking for you to play there, or is there bigger venues, or does it?
It really hadn't changed that much, but what is fortunate is that I have a circuit of places around the state of North Carolina that I get to play at regularly. I've got 2 places in Charlotte where we play monthly. And I'd like to play down at Muddy River more. I thought we were going to be monthly there, but that's a business. Those guys, they have music and all, but I think they're more interested in trying to survive as a distillery.
Sure. Yeah, they're running their business.
They have that summer thing, Summer Fest. I think
I think that was last week.
Last year.
Oh, that's right.
The big one last year.
Yeah, that's right. Out back. I was still going through chemo then. But God, it was great to get out there. I remember after that, though, I almost fell over when I got up, and I could barely walk back to my car. Because that chemo, man, it makes you weak. You're being poisoned. With a good reason. It kills the cancer. But yeah, I remember that. And I started playing. That's one of the first plays I started playing a lot again. But there are festivals. I like to play festivals, house concerts like you've had. I love doing house concerts.
That was great.
People always, afterwards, days later, I get texts about how good the music was and how'd you get David and the Serpents to play? I just
Well, I
reached
just
out.
live.
Yeah, just you're right down the road, so that's very convenient.
A while ago, I told you I got up at 4 this morning, and I had a good supper somewhere around 5 or 5:30 and fell asleep. And I woke up and looked at my phone and it's giving me the address, like more or less saying, "Where the hell are you?" And I'm like, "Oh God." But I'm glad I took that nap though, because I wasn't really in very good shape. I am now, I think.
Yeah, no,
But
naps could be very therapeutic.
But the thing with the Hall of Fame, yeah, they just give me some more credibility. That was a big problem I had when I started. Is, you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. How can you be doing this? And then nobody would take me seriously.
Really?
But I was very serious about it. I was practicing law and doing some very serious kind of stuff. But I just had, after about 6 or 7 years of being Mr. Young Lawyer, some of the hardest years of my life, I'm like, look, you remember you used to write poetry, you're a good guitar player, you're a good singer. Why don't you get, and I was playing like softball and basketball and still being a jock. And I'm like, you're not going to play for the Hornets or the,
Yeah.
you're not very good at softball. Why don't you just focus on your music, which I started doing then. And here I am today.
Yeah, well, very good.
Got nice guys like you asking me these questions, which are make me think about things and reflect on my life.
I was telling Dave, I think I've seen you at multiple venues. You've played in a park, you played at the Whitewater Center, at the Muddy River, and the music, it's all the same music, all the same songs. You seem to introduce some covers here and there. But I told Dave, I've seen you play down at the Thirsty Beaver twice.
Oh yeah, that was pretty fun.
And I tell you what, it's almost like you were a different man and the band was a different band. The music, I don't think it was just me. The guy, Scott, I was with, we both commented, it's like that place did something to you where everything was so fast paced and the music, it just seemed louder. It seemed faster and harder. It was still the same music. You were singing all these songs I knew and recognized, but it's like I went to see a different band that night. And it was great. And there was no downtime between songs. As soon as you played the last note of one song, you went right into the next one. And it was just, and the first time I saw it happen, I don't know what just happened. This is something
I didn't either.
Yeah.
It's the Thirsty Beaver.
It's a Thirsty Beaver.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that. And then I think the next year come around, and you guys were back there. I can't think of the band that opened up for you guys.
It was
Pintos.
Pinto.
Yeah, the Pintos. And the same thing. And in that place, if you've been there, it's so small. You're packed in there. But man, it just felt like this alive rock concert, which has a different feel than Sunday over in McAdenville at Craft 15. And that was still a great venue and concert. The music's great. I had a great time, but it just, I don't know, like how it happened to be that way. It was just,
Every venue has a different vibe to it. The Thirsty Beaver, there, and I don't play there anymore for a number of different reasons, but that was always a very intense experience. Matter of fact, there were several times the whole band would get sick after we played from just exhaustion, sometimes dehydration. I mean, that happened at least twice. We were throwing ourselves into it so hard. And there was that. Robert, my son's a drummer, and he really, I consider him like the band director, like if it was a marching band or something.
yeah.
And he's got good instincts, but he's from a punk rock sort
Background.
of environment. That's where he really learned to play. And then he and I started playing together.
So you're saying he in that situation, maybe he controlled the tempo.
Yeah, he has a
of
lot
the
to
music.
do with that. But we'd get excited, man. You got all these people crowded in there, and a lot of them good-looking young women. That always gets me going. Not that anything comes of it, but you know, to have that energy
Yeah, you would get,
that women bring, and a lot of enthusiastic men and of all different ages, just humanity coming right up on you. I feel like they want the energy and
Yeah.
audiences feed each other. They feed the band feeds the audience, feeds the band. It's a two-way street. If you go in there and there's nobody in there and you play, it's not the same at all.
Sure. Yeah.
But like the other day, on Sunday, we're outside, it's hotter than hell, but the people there are calm. We got like that. We just got relaxed, kind of segued from one song to another.
Yeah.
But now if you'd have called us the night before, 2 nights before, different kind of place, we were driving it harder.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
depends a lot on the venue.
Yeah.
Confluence, we tend to get a lot more energetic.
And
there.
that's coming up soon?
Yeah, we got one there in, was it June? Yeah, at the end of this month
Okay. Yeah.
with Great Delisle.
Do you change your set list?
I try to, and that's the thing, I don't want to do the same songs all the time. So that's why I try to bring in either new things I've written or cover songs. I don't care who wrote it anymore. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I write a song that's good, I'm gonna play it. But when I write a song, I gotta feel it.
Yeah.
It's gotta pass the chest test. Do I feel it in my chest? Does it make me maybe choke up a little or tear up a little? When that happens, I know I got something. But that's what I have to dig and sculpt to try to find normally. But yeah, I get kind of frustrated if I do feel like we're playing the same stuff over and over. But then there are some that just work.
Yeah.
It's a good way to lose an audience is to try to play something you don't know and it shows.
Sure.
The audience picks up on that.
Yeah. So you mentioned you've recently played or you've written some new stuff. Does that mean there's a new album? Are you guys working on something?
Actually, yeah. We're not too far away from finishing it. Now,
Okay.
I've recorded in some of the best studios in the state, but I've also recorded in my house with some success. We're doing that. And the last things I've done have been back to the house with Robert Engineering, with Abe Partridge. We're working on another one with him, which I think we're through recording. Robert's doing whatever they do, mixing it.
Yeah.
And we're doing that. We've been recording one of mine too with some new songs.
Okay.
And I hope to have that out early next year.
Okay. It's awesome. Yeah.
I don't know who's going to put it out, but I certainly would hope Ramsor would at least consider it. If not, we'll just do it ourselves.
Sure.
It's a whole new game now because you don't have to put out the physical records anymore.
Yeah. Or CDs.
Yeah, but I like to do that
Yeah.
because I sell them at shows.
Yeah.
Still people, especially vinyl. People want vinyl records, but there's more and more people are buying CDs too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, recently seems everything's digital, Spotify, listening to things that way. But behind the bar, I have a little Victorola. I got Run Skeleton Run and a couple other your
CDs.
vinyls. No, vinyls.
Vinyl, good.
Yeah, so I'll pull it out, plug it in, and listen to the vinyl in here.
You had a record player?
Behind the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I prefer.
Stag's Head has a lot of things.
You didn't know about that, did you?
Know about that?
You learned a lot.
Guess so.
Yeah.
Appreciate you listening to it. I really
Yeah.
do. I mean, it means a lot to me. I don't want to carry on too much about it, but that
No.
anybody would take time that would fit my music into their playlist when there is so much to choose from.
Sure. Yeah.
It's an honor.
Yeah. I think my music taste varies wildly. I like your style of music, the folky stuff, but for a while, and I still go back to Celtic punk.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I like listening to that kind of stuff. And I listen to there's a couple, they're Eastern Orthodox priests that chant, and,
Yeah.
they sing in Aramaic. And I listen to that stuff. They recite the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, and it's musical. And I'll listen to that kind of stuff. I go all around, but yeah, you're definitely on the Stag's Head playlist in this place.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Listening to Celtic punk.
Oh yeah, man. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I don't think I'm a punk kind of guy, but it's just that
but
music sometimes.
That music's kind of punky anyway.
Yeah. You
Maybe the traditional stuff.
throw a banjo in there, I'll listen to almost anything, I think.
One of the records, again, my mom gave me this record of Scottish songs. I don't remember who did it, but those songs were ass-kicking. They were about fighting in wars and chasing girls and getting drunk, and then there was a lot of beauty in the lyrics and so forth. And I remember listening to that when I was a teenager, and it just lit me up. And I'd learned a lot of those songs to sing, especially when I was drunk. They seemed to feel really good.
Yeah. Dave, can you think of anything? We're going to try and close this here. Any burning questions you might have for David here?
I got the Bob Dylan as a great influence on you, and yeah, that's fantastic. Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time, David, but
Well,
I think
I'm in no rush. I don't.
But I think we've hit on a bunch of topics. As long as I've known you or known about you and listened to your music, I think tonight was like a little pull back the curtain a little bit and find out a little bit more about David Childers. And
I'm glad you're interested.
yeah, very good. So let's close it out here, and I will let you go. Again, this has been Stag's Head Tavern Talk, SHT Talk. If you have any questions, follow up with us at SHT Talk Tavern at gmail.com. Thanks a lot. Good night. All right. Yeah.